Hey, it's Abdullah Samir again. I was thinking about one of the earliest doubts I had as a Muslim. I actually had a sheikh I was talking to, and I actually asked him a question. I said to him, if rizq is promised to us and therefore we should not worry about rizq, how is it that people are starving in the world today? Even back then, as a Muslim, I was trying to reconcile and get the two different concepts in my mind. In the Quran, it says, Allah has promised those who have believed among you and done righteous deeds that He will surely grant them succession upon the earth, just as He granted to those before them. So He'll establish them in the earth, make them leaders and give them land and dominion. And He will surely establish for them their religion. So He'll make Islam dominant in the land, which He has preferred for them, Islam. And He will surely substitute for them after the fear, security, for they worship me, not associating anything with me. But whoever disbelieves after that, then those are defiantly disobedient. And in a hadith, it says, Umar bin al-Khattab said that the Messenger of Allah said, if you were to rely upon Allah with the required reliance, then He would provide for you just as a bird is provided for. It goes out in the morning empty and returns full. And this is a Hasan hadith recorded in Jami at-Tirmidhi. We have these hadith, we have this Quran, and then we have Allah's name, Ar-Razaq, who is the provider, the supplier, the bestower of sustenance, the one who creates all means of nourishment and sustenance, the one who gives all things beneficial. We have this, and on the other hand, we have people starving in the world. We have people dying. We have kids who are Muslim kids who believe, their parents are believers, and they're all dying. So why is that? What is going on here? And the answer to the question was a long kind of rambling question saying, it's a trial and it's a test, and people are supposed to give in zakat, but they don't give in zakat, and people want to be material and blame Saudi because Saudi's not helping anyone. And basically, there's lots of money, and it's just people don't want to give it. So that was basically the answer, right? The answer goes on and on and on. It's a lot of jumping through hoops to kind of explain away this basic problem. It's a problem of evil, the problem of suffering, right? How do you explain it, right? Quran says in 51:22, and in the heaven is your provision and whatever you have promised. In 13:26, it says in the Quran, Allah extends provision for whom He wills and restricts it. And they rejoice in the worldly life, while the worldly life is not compared to the hereafter except brief enjoyment. So, forget this life, focus on the next life. That's what it's saying, right? And Allah is the one that gives you money, gives you wealth, gives you war booty. Well, He doesn't, right? That's what it's saying, right? And in another verse in the Quran, in 3:37, Zakaria found Maryam with food, and he's like, where is it coming from? And she's saying, it came from Allah. Allah provides for whom He wills without account. So Allah provided for Maryam magically food coming from paradise, yet He lets these little kids starve to death in a pretty horrible way to die. And the parents are true believers, right? So it's all a test, it's nothing is promised. Yet the hadith says, if you rely upon Allah, He will provide for you just like a bird. Do birds always come home full with full tummies? No, they also starve to death. So the hadith should actually say, if you were to rely upon Allah with the required reliance, like He would provide for you as a bird is provided for. It goes out in the morning empty and then starves to death. That would be a more accurate representation of reality. But it's all the Muslims' fault. Muslims are not giving the zakat. It's all selfishness and greed, which is in a sense true. But this is human nature, right? And so Allah made people with the human nature that they're going to let other people starve to death. It's almost like He wanted to maximize suffering in the world. A few tiny number of people that have all the wealth and the rest all starve. We can ask, if God is almighty and has all the power, why did He create us in this way, right? What is the point? But it doesn't seem like God actually created us to be like this. What it does seem like is that we evolved. We evolved in certain ways, and we are certain ways, just like a chimp relatives, right? We are basically evolved chimps, right? And we sometimes behave like that. Yes, we are more intelligent and we are able to rationalize and we are able to do a lot more. Sometimes we revert to the chimp behavior that's in the back of our brains, also called the reptilian brain or the chimp brain. It's a part of our thoughts, a part of a brain that that's the more aggressive part, the part that when you get angry, the flight or fight response. When you're attacked, when you're provoked, you don't think, you just react, right? The greedy part, right? The part that helped us to survive at one point, but is not necessarily the most best part of ourselves, right? So obviously we need to overcome this. We need to be better people. But Allah is not providing for everybody. Allah never did, right? God, whoever He is, whatever He is not providing for most people, right? He left the earth in a miserable situation. He made humans so selfish, right? And of course, these are all our tendencies, right? By looking in the animal kingdom, we see a variety of different personalities per se among animals. And it wasn't necessary that God had to design us this way, but He did. So what does that mean? What that means is Allah is not the provider. He never was, right? We've simply evolved to survive in a certain way, and it's humans today that are eliminating poverty like never before. Yes, the rich are getting richer, but also the poor are getting less poor. Statistics show that the global poverty line is getting less and less. There's a lot more people that's moved out of poverty because of capitalism, because of increased wealth, because of technology, because of all these things. Yes, some people have benefited more and they continue to accumulate wealth and capital, but the poor people have also benefited. And none of this has anything to do with God providing for anybody. In fact, God has provided in a vicious way for the lions who have to tear apart and kill and eat other animals just to survive. This is not providing. Even us, we eat meat. We kill animals, we factory farm them, we chop off the beaks of little chickens when they're young so they don't peck each other to death. We're doing this. Is this providence? Is this sustenance? Is this what Allah intended? Is this what God intended for us? To treat other living creatures that also feel pain, that also suffer, that also have feelings and emotions. Is that what was meant? Is that what God wanted when He gave us a chicken sandwich that we're having for lunch? If this is what God expected and wanted from us, He's not much of a provider. He's not much of a loving God. That's what I have to say. Thanks for watching. This is Abdullah Samir signing out.